now, we get a chance to talk to Mike Lupica of the New York Daily News. He writes for MLB.com. He's a best-selling author, man about town, a bon vivant. We love having him on Wednesday at this time. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
Hey, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. I've been getting a lot of this since the Chiefs won on Sunday. I'm sick of Mahomes. What is that about? I don't know if you're like me. I like watching greatness. Now, you might not like him and you want to see greatness knocked off the mountain. That's cool. But to say you're sick of watching greatness, I don't understand that.
No, I think sports is more interesting when we've got a team or an athlete that my dear old friend Bob Drum used to call Bubba. That's what he called the best golfer in the world. He used to say Arnold was Bubba, then Jack was Bubba, and then he went on from there. I think the Bubba factor makes sports infinitely more interesting. Tiger made golf way more interesting. Michael made the NBA. I love Bird and Magic, but you know what? I loved it even more when we had Michael for everybody to be shooting at. And Michael, I'll tell you something else. I don't think the Dodgers are bad for baseball, but whether they win again or not, and I'm not saying that they're going to be a dynasty like the Chiefs have been or like Tiger was a dynasty in an individual sport, but that whole thing, and I'm telling you, I couldn't possibly be more tired already of the notion that the refs are dragging them across the finish line. Yeah, Patrick's 17-3 in the postseason because of the refs. And guess what? Yeah, Michael pushed off on Byron Russell before he made that shot. Get over it, everybody.
That narrative actually, to me, is disconcerting. Because people just come out and say, the refs are, on the take. They're told by the NFL. The NFL had 57.7 million people watch that game. You think they want to have some kind of scandal where it ever gets revealed that they're telling the refs to favor the Chiefs? I mean, it's incomprehensible that people actually believe that. But now we live in an era and in a society where there are all these ridiculous theorems that are looked at as true. I just don't get it. There's no way the NFL is telling their refs to not make calls against the Chiefs.
Michael, go back and look at that 4th and 1. Can I tell you for sure that he wasn't over the line? No. Can I tell you for sure that he was? And, it's going to be difficult. It's why I always wonder what we're going to do with automated umpires in baseball because, it's one thing to measure the lines in tennis with Hawkeye, okay?
Right.
There's the line, there's the court. I don't know how you measure the air, because, and I think on that call, I don't want to get us sidetracked here, I think one of the things that hurt Josh Allen is one of the things that can hurt you on that play because he went sideways, which he does a lot. And by the way, Michael, how come nobody talks about how lucky they were to get the call on the previous 4th and 1 and the previous, this diminishes the greatness of the Chiefs, what we're witnessing. The best player I've ever seen in Patrick Mahomes, whether he wins this game or not, this extraordinary record they have at this time of year and in close games. Listen, would I have been happy if Josh Allen won? Yeah. I find it hard to root against Mahomes. But I would have been happy if the Bills won. But guess what, Michael? At the end of the day, somebody explained to me what the refs had to do with the fact that Josh had the ball in his hands and the season and the game with 2 minutes to go and had to do a chance to do one of those drives like, Joe Montana against the Bengals in the Super Bowl and did not put the ball into the end zone or get close enough for a field goal. Game, set, match, in my opinion.
I thought he was very pedestrian. I don't think he played poorly, but he didn't play great. And in those situations, you have to play great. He missed a lot of throws early. And you know what? You talk about that 4th and 1, Mike. How about stop running the same stupid damn play?
Right,
you're running the tush-push, and you're not doing it the way the Eagles do it.
Michael, the tush push, in my opinion, is not football. It's a tractor pull. Okay, I don't know. I don't know how you can legislate, but you're 100% right. Yeah, keep going with that. Don't give the ball to Cook, who's having the day of his life. Okay, Michael, I'm telling you, I know that the Bills are the heartbreak team from the heartbreak capital of professional football in the 90s and now. I get that, okay? But if you can't make a yard with your season on the line, I don't want to hear about the refs afterwards.
Absolutely. And one other reason that they win all the time, Mike, they play exquisite football. They have an exquisite coach, a great defensive coordinator. They don't make mistakes. I think mistakes are what cost you those games. It cost the Ravens the chance to beat the Bills. You can't make mistakes, and they run precise plays. I mean, they are a well-oiled machine. Andy Reid is one of the greatest coaches of all time.
He's in the conversation now, I believe, with Lombardi and Belichick and Bill Walsh and Chuck Noll and Parcells, anybody you want to bet, okay? And Michael, you're 100% right. It goes back to the old mantra from Bill Belichick: do your job. Dan Orlovsky pointed this out the other day, and he's right. You can point to like 10 guys for the Chiefs who in a big moment did something great the other day.
Yep.
And obviously they've got number 15 and nobody else does. They've got number 87 and nobody else does. They got Spags and nobody else does. But every receiver who had to make a play made a play. When they stopped him down on the goal line, they were in the perfect. When Spags had to call the perfect blitz, one he had not called the whole game, he calls it. And Michael, here's what I was thinking. When Patrick makes that little swing pass out to the left to officially end the game, okay, on 3rd and 5,
right,
whatever it was, okay? What prevented the Bills from running a similar play to get the first down they needed in going with a tush push that had become extremely problematic at that point?
And it's also interesting, too, Mike, and I'm glad you brought up that play, because when you win, you get equity, and you could take chances. If Andy Reid throws the ball there on 3rd and 5 and it's dropped, you've stopped the clock. You've given the Bills a better chance to actually come back and win the game. He didn't care because he's got rings to make that decision. I don't think the Bills have the guts to do something like that.
Michael, I did not like the game plan in big stretches of that game, and I think Joe Brady did a great job for the Bills this year, okay? But here's how conditioned you are, though, to expect the Chiefs to do the kinds of things that you're talking about, Michael, okay? Zach, my youngest son, Zach, who's, people call my brain, okay? When Josh gets the ball with 2 minutes left, okay, Zach is already texting me and saying, don't score too soon. Thinking, okay, yeah, you're going to take him down the field, but if you give him too much time, you're going to lose anyway.
Right, and you know what? And 13 seconds was proved to be too much time once. So, I mean, he's extraordinary. He just is.
It was a wonderful sports event, Michael. It was a wonderful sports event. No one can be surprised at the outcome. Nobody can be surprised. All year long, I listened to this harping about how, well, they're not the same, or they keep winning those close games. Michael, there's an expression in golf that covers that. Not how, but how many.
Right.
Okay. I don't care whether they win by one. If they have to block a field goal against the Broncos, they block the field goal. It goes on and on and on. And when you look at this body of work, Michael, you see how close this team is to having gone to 7 Super Bowls.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
They've had some breaks, absolutely. They've had some stuff go their way, but Burrow clips them that one time. Brady gets them one time when they still had the dopey rule that if you won the coin flip in overtime. And the only reason that they lost that game is because a guy lined up off. Remember, he lined up, I think, offside before Brady threw the interception that would have lost the game. Oh no, this is. Listen, Mike. I think I've told you this story before. I was sitting with Brian Leach one time after Wayne Gretzky had come to the Rangers, and I said, "You must feel so lucky to get to play with him." And Brian looked at me and said, "No, I feel lucky to be living in this time and having gotten to watch him." And that's the way I feel about the Chiefs.
That's the way I look at it, too. I mean, people that hate on this guy, we're lucky that we were alive to see Jordan. We're lucky that we were alive to see Magic and Bird and now Patrick Mahomes. Anyway.
And Torrey and Michael and Torrey's Yankees.
Yes.
I mean, they were this Okay? They were this, and they were that close to winning 5 or 6 World Series in a row.
Right. And, I mean, we were unlucky that we weren't alive to see Babe Ruth or Lou Gehrig and things like that, but we should cherish the fact that we could see this. One thing that I disagreed, we had a discussion yesterday, me and Jeff Passan, and I said, what you got Sunday in the NFL, Buffalo against Kansas City, that could never happen in baseball because there could not be a team in Buffalo in baseball, and you could not keep together the Kansas City Royals for 7 AFC championships in a row. And people wonder why, football prints money. They've got the formula. I don't think baseball could ever do that because you can't put the milk back in the udder where everybody shares everything equally 30 ways. So, I mean, that just shows you there could not be a baseball team in Green Bay, Michael. There just couldn't be.
Michael, you know where this goes back to? This goes back to one of the great gentlemen either one of us have ever met in sports, and that is Mr. Wellington Mara, who way back when the television money started to come in, made sure that everybody got the same piece of the pie, okay? And in that sport, that contributed. It was literally right after that we had the great Packers team of the 60s, and the great Pittsburgh team, and on, and the great Raiders team. I don't know what baseball can do. And again, you can look back over like the last 10 years of baseball and see that until the last couple, it's been very rare for the team with the biggest payroll to win.
Right.
Okay, there have been. I looked it up one time, and I don't have it in front of me, but I know that that's a fact. Now, when we see what the Mets are doing, what we see what the Dodgers are doing, what we see even with the mild belly aching from Hal, what the Yankees are doing, you have a right to wonder what possible scenario can there be where the Pittsburgh Pirates ever win another World Series, okay? Where the Milwaukee Brewers ever win a World Series. Now, maybe if Pete Alonso doesn't hit that home run, who knows what the Brewers might have done last October. We will never know that, okay? But there's one thing that baseball's got to get out in front of, Mike, and I don't have the answer for that, and that is deferred money. Because deferred money, to me, it's brilliant on their part, but in another way, it's kind of gaming the system.
Yeah, I asked somebody today in the know. I said, why don't the Yankees defer money? Because the Yankees don't want to operate with a deficit. They just don't. The Dodgers have no problem with it. They're a hedge fund. They're going to take that money, and other teams don't have that capability. They're not hedge funds. So once baseball's sold to the Guggenheim partners, Mike, all bets are off. Unless you put something in that you can't defer money, they're going to have an advantage because they can invest the money and make money. They're going to make money off the Ohtani contract. They will. They could play with $68 million a year for 10 years. I think they're going to do okay with it.
And I think Uncle Steve is going to make money off of Juan Soto, Michael. I do. I mean, I think you're going to see a whole different level, just attendance for the Mets this year. But again, going back to what you said about the Chiefs, I just think that people who are grousing about this, and oh, by the way, where's that team from? Kansas City.
Right.
Okay? And it's just, to me, it's thrilling. I think it's I think we got a wonderful Super Bowl set up because as interesting as it's going to be to see Saquon, and as interesting as it going to be to see Patrick go against that defense, it's going to be very interesting for me to see one of the great guys in football and somebody I've known a long time, Steve Spagnuolo. And I just don't think Spags is going to let Saquon run up and down the field. That's just me.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. He's going to come up with something to slow him down. I don't know if you could completely stop him, but I think he's not going to be as much of a dominating factor as he's been because Spagnuolo is going to do the whole defense around him and dare Jalen Hurts to beat him by the throw. I think. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm happy with, even though it's not a direct rematch, I'm perfectly happy with this game. I don't know. You know, the Lions. It would have been a great story if the Lions got there. Obviously, it would have been a great story if the Bills had gotten there. But Michael, these are the two best teams, and they're going to go toe to toe in New Orleans. I can't wait.
Mike, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Okay, pal. Bye-bye.
All right, that's Mike Lupica.